Welcome to Small Town Tales, a podcast where we hear stories of the paranormal, haunting legends, and all things spirit. Join us as we explore the unknown. Now, here's your host, C.L. Thomas.
Welcome to another edition of Small Town Tales. I am honored to welcome special guest David Chowders to the show to discuss spirit attachments. David, you're kind of one of those people that do everything, aren't you?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. I do whatever's out there that's unexplainable. Anything considered paranormal, I'm doing it. Even urban legends. I love it.
Thank you for taking the time to be on my show.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Let's get started with you telling us how you got started in the paranormal.
Well, it all started whenever I was like 13 years old. See, my family's property, it was on Civil War battleground in Vicksburg, Mississippi. And I just got through watching Crocodile Dundee, and I was like, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to be Crocodile Dundee. Kids' imagination and stuff. So I made me a Bowie knife out of a freaking piece of wood. My grandfather was a carpenter and stuff, so I knew how to do a lot of that stuff. So went out there, made me a Bowie knife, had me some snake skin boots on and all that good stuff. And it started getting dusk. And just so happened, I looked over at the wood line and I saw a full body apparition of a Civil War soldier. It had a full beard and everything. It's like a Confederate uniform. I dropped my stuff. I ran inside, told my dad. Of course, my dad's like, "Oh, you're just seeing stuff. It's your imagination, this and that." And just over the years, I started just doing research, and I love scary movies and ghosts and stuff like that. Started doing it, and the whole property always had activity. And it just went on from there. And next thing you know, years later, my dad's a part of the team. It was pretty cool. He got into the field too. Now I've been doing it for almost 22 years now.
That's a lot. What is a spirit attachment exactly?
It's basically, it's a lot of things. A spirit being attached to you. It could have been they died in trauma and don't realize they done passed on. Some of them, they're lonely. Some of them are very negative and very dark. And that's also another reason. Well, a human spirit could do the same thing. And hell, they can just go out there and just pester the heck out of you. Just where they'll have something to do. The other one's non-human entities, which I actually had not really attached. Well, I guess it was attachment, but it's become an attachment. I think I was the one that was attached to the location, and it was basically wanted me to hang out there. It was so weird. It was definitely a reverse attachment. Never had that happen before. Never seen it happen before. So, there's, like I said, there's all different kinds of ways that somebody that a spirit could become attached to somebody.
How do you discern between a negative spirit and a human spirit?
Well, a human spirit's, all right, put it this way, if you're an ass in death, you're going to be one in life, okay? Not a human spirit can be negative. It could be happy. It could be, just outgoing, just there to say, "Hey, I'm here. Hey, acknowledge me." Now, if you're talking about maybe a non-human entity that's negative, to a human entity that's negative, that's totally different, because a non-human entity was never alive. That's also a theory. It could be a manifestation of somebody or some people actually creating it. The saying, you create your own haunting. Well, that's where it came from. Or we all have our own demons. That's where it comes from. You can actually, if you really believe in something, you can actually manifest it and make it happen.
That's very true. That's very true. So when you have this negative entity, I kind of want to talk about the negative attachments for a little bit, because you hear this a lot, and a lot of people say, "Oh, they're possessed and they have a demon or whatever." But then on the flip side of it, another group of people are saying that those kind of cases only happen once in a blue moon.
And it's not, I hate it whenever, I really dislike it whenever, people go out there, paranormal investigators or whatever, go, "Oh, it's a demon, it's a demon, it's a demon." Hell, you're scaring the heck out of the client. It's not always that. It's mostly going to be, it's going to be maybe a negative spirit. It's going to be someone that is just miserable where they're at. I know I would be if I was stuck right in the middle right there, and I'm seeing all my loved ones pass, and I'm seeing time just go forward and forward, and all this new stuff going on. I can't do anything about it. I can't live it. I can't be a part of it. I'm going to be negative too, probably. You know, and that's a lot of these hauntings out there. All the cases I've been on, I've been on 10 10 demonic cases that they say it was, and one of them possibly could be just one of them out of all the years. And saying I didn't get any feedback from all that because I went ahead and called somebody else in because it was out of my territory. You know, that there was no way I could actually even sit here and think about helping the family because I didn't know what I was doing.
It's interesting. So if you have, what I think I hear you saying is that most of these cases are human attachments.
Yes.
Human spirit attachments.
Right,
so
yes.
There's a lot of cases where people can go somewhere else, pick up an attachment, and bring it home with them. Is that still a human entity?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and it could be a non-human entity. You know, it really could. That's why we have to do, whenever someone thinks that they do have an attachment, they need to reach out to a accredited paranormal team that they know, or a psychic medium, or, you know, somebody that they know that are credible, that can actually come in and you know, figure out exactly what type of entity it is. But most of the time, I've always ran across it was human spirits. You know, like one of mine was, it was 8 years ago, something like that, 9 years ago. I was a volunteer firefighter, and I received a call. It was a call, tones dropped around 2 o'clock in the morning. Actually, this story is on Travel Channel's Paranormal 911. I think it's season 1, episode 6, The Chapel, I believe. That get full detail about one of my attachments, this attachment right here. But it was a call, and it was right down the road. They said it was a wreck scene. I went down there, and as soon as I got there, I realized I was the first one on the scene. Realized she wouldn't make it. It was a 21-year-old female, and she was, you know, there was no way she was going to be able to make it. So I did all the procedures, you know, called EMS, this and that, told them the situation, and whenever I left the scene, it felt like somebody was, as soon as they got there, nothing else I could do. So I went ahead and went back to the house. Felt somebody behind me in the back seat. It was so weird, you know, but I chalked it up adrenaline rush, you know. So I get back to the house, go in there, take a shower, and it happened so quick. As soon as I got in the shower, I was in there. Next thing you know, I heard a knock on my bathroom door. It's early in the morning, probably about 4 o'clock by this time. No, I was like, I know my daughter's not awake. She was 12 at the time, I believe. But got out the shower and I opened up the door. I was about to yell at her and say, "Hey, what are you doing up?" And nobody there. Went back there. She was sound asleep. Well, then it just went on and on over a time period, and we started hearing disembodied voices. Well, my ex heard some disembodied voices of a little girl, and I was like, "No, you just crazy. You're out of your mind," which she was. So I was like, "Easy, David, easy." No, but next thing you know, it was me and my daughter. We were sitting. It was daytime. We were sitting on the bed, and we were doing her homework. The only thing on was the ceiling fan, where she could be able to concentrate. Next thing you know, "Daddy, come here," and coming in the kitchen. Madison looked at me and she was like, "Daddy, what was that?" "Baby, nothing. It was just the radio." I was like, "Okay, here we go. Now I'm the crazy one," you know? So I get up, go in there, nothing in there. And it just happened over a period of almost 6 months. One time I was laying at the end of the bed, and basically I think this was my second full body apparition I've ever seen. Woke up and she's standing at the end of the bed, blank face, black hair, had like an orange shirt on with like, I don't know, it was so weird. It was weird. It was like and also a white nightgown. It was crazy. It was so weird. But I know I was wide awake. Looked up.
The same girl from the accident?
Yeah, same one. And I saw it, and I just covered my head up, and I was like, "Not in my house, not in my house, not in my house." You know, peeked out from up under the cover is gone. Every now and then I'll be laying in the bed, sleep, and something will grab my pinky toe. And I do, believe me, I do not sleep with my feet out from up under the covers after that. It happened multiple times. It's like just trying to get my attention. Well, long story short, we ended up, I had to do something. It was freaking my daughter out. I got a couple of my friends on the team. They came over, and I was like, let's just try this. We're sitting there at in the trailer, and I was like, look, you got to follow me back to where you came from. You got to follow me back. You're making my daughter uneasy. We can't live like this. Please. I'm not mad or anything, just please. Didn't know if it'll work or not. We go out to the wreck scene, and just so happened, right across the street, which I don't even know why I didn't notice it that night, right across the street was a cemetery, an old cemetery that I used to go and take my employees, what am I talking about, employees? My team members, employees get paid. My team members. Yeah. But we went there, and that's where I used to go and got a lot of activity at that cemetery. So I was like, you know what? We can't stay on the side of the road. Let's just go here. It's right close to it. It's right across the street. We go up there, and we walk all the way to the back to the cemetery. And this right here is in the middle of nowhere. No electrical lines. Electrical lines, they're way on the other side of the road where the wreck scene was. So we're in the cemetery in the very back, and there was a big old pine tree that we usually just leave our equipment because we know we can find it because it's big, the biggest tree out there, right in the middle of the cemetery. So we're there, and I got a K2 meter, and it was a guy that was a part of the team. He was actually a detective with the Vicksburg Police Department, and one of my friends, she was there. K2 meter just starts going off. All right. He's sitting there. He's sitting there, like, he looks over and he's starting to freak out a little bit. I'm looking at the K2 meter. I'm talking about the K2 meter, and the girl beside me is like pulling on my shirt. I'm like, what? And she just looked. She said, David, look by the tree. Look, I'm getting chill bumps even talking about it. I look up. It was the creepiest thing I've ever seen. She was behind the tree, this big tree, and she would peep out and go back, like playing peekaboo. Peep out and go back. She did it 3 times. And on the way back the 3rd time, he took a photo, and he caught the top of her head.
Well, what did she look like?
That's why it was black hair, and it was a blank face.
Like a shadow figure?
No, it was just white, not really cream, like I guess the color of your curtains back there. Like a grayish, I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's like a grayish type thing. But everything else was defined. You could see it, except for the face. Man, it was like not really a blur, not really blank, but it was like a blur in a way. I don't know. It's so hard to explain. It really is. I could probably draw it and color it. I definitely could do that. But
you're not the first one who have said that they've seen apparitions like peeking around a corner or around an object or something like that. That's a popular phenomenon.
A lot of
that.
Yeah, a lot of them too. A lot of it too is mostly shadow people that people see. Yeah,
that's what I've seen. It was a shadow figure that kind of peeked around. I was in the hallway when it happened. It peeked around the corner. Like, weird.
It'll catch you off guard big time. Totally catch you off guard. Oh, but yeah, it was intense. And whenever that happened, he sits here and he pulls his gun out, and I was like, dude, what are you gonna do? Shoot a ghost? I mean, I was like, man. He put his gun back. He was like, man, that was messed up. That was so messed up. I really believe now. And I was like, you know what the messed up thing is, brother? We got to walk past that tree to get out of here. He looked at me. He was like, man, I'll find a way through the woods. I was like, dude, believe me. I think she's fine. She'll be fine. We'll just go a little bit further out and walk by. Walk by, nothing there. Got in the vehicle. Nothing happened ever since. But then ended up finding out her father is buried in that cemetery. So that was, that was pretty intense. Maybe she was going there to go see her father. I don't know. And that happened, and that's why she was still there, and she attached herself to me because I was a father. I'll never know. Yeah, never know. But
It's interesting you say that, but so when you had this attachment, what are some of the things that happened to you? Did it affect you emotionally or anything?
That one, that one right there really wasn't. It was more freaky than anything, more scary than anything. It didn't emotional wise, not really. It was she was just there. She just wanted to be acknowledged. Now, one of them, I mean, the second one, the biggest one, that really impacted my life. I was caretaker of a hospital in Vicksburg, Mississippi called Kuhn Memorial Hospital. It was pre-Civil War, yellow fever outbreak, tuberculosis. It was an insane asylum. Sisters of Mercy came from Baltimore. They were nuns, Catholic nuns. Well, of course, nuns are Catholic. But ended up coming down. They helped out with it, and eventually ended up just going abandoned. And they built another hospital over the years. I think it went abandoned in 1990. Yeah. But I eventually became caretaker of the place. The place was falling apart, no windows in it. I mean, it reminds you of Waverly Hills. That's how it was gutted. I became caretaker of that place, and being a paranormal investigator, and I lived actually a block away from this location. Being a paranormal investigator, I'm volunteering for free for all. I might as well take advantage of it, So we'd go in there, we'd investigate, and during the nighttime, daytime, whenever, and it came down to where over months, I started to really just get obsessed with the place. I was there all the time. I mean, I was there during the daytime, during the nighttime, whenever, as soon as I went off work, I went up there and I just checked on the place, stayed up there for a couple of hours. It came down to where I started grilling on the roof by myself, sitting on the roof, and I could see my house. I'm looking right at my house where I'm grilling at, right? Well, I'll sit up there, drink me a six-pack and grill. Backtracking, and I'll start the tail end of that, and that's where it really gets real deep. But we had experiences there of, just doors slamming, actually, which was caught on camera. Whenever me and Zach and Ghost Adventures, I filmed out there a couple of episodes with them. We filmed there, and it was during the daytime. Zach was interviewing me, okay? And it was, he caught it on the episode. It's called Spirits Under Siege, Vicksburg, Mississippi. He caught it on the episode. Whenever he asked, bam, door slammed right upstairs above us. Right whenever I was talking about this non-human entity that we call Michael. Well, Michael came up whenever first me and my ex-wife, we saw it was a shadow figure, and I don't believe in the red eyes. I do not believe in the red eyes, but that night we both saw a shadow figure with not bright red eyes, like a flashlight type thing. It was like real dull. It was real dull red. Saw that. We got close to it, and the closer we got to it to try to make sure it wasn't our eyes playing tricks on us, it just faded away. It was like, it's sort of like any shadow figure with the way they manifest is like smoke, black smoke, okay? And whenever they dissipate, it's the same way. But we ended up getting this, we had the spirit box and the echo box, which I'm not big on the spirit box, but hey, you never know. Echo box, I love it because I've had a lot of experiences with it. We had that going, and that's whenever we started getting these the word Michael coming out. Who are you? Michael, constantly. And at that point, we had multiple witnesses there whenever that was happening. And at that point, my ex-wife was standing beside me, right? She screams and she holds her head. I look over real quick, and she was like, oh, something just pulled my hair. And she's rubbing her head. And I looked at, the top of her scalp, and something it pulled a plug of hair out of her head. It was, it wasn't bleeding. It was like, blood spots,
Oh, wow.
You could tell, it was real red too. It was crazy. I know she didn't do it. There ain't no way she would have done that, But that right there was one of the experiences I was like, yeah, let's go ahead and walk out of here. Let's sort of chill out a little bit. Didn't bring anybody else up, dude. Huh?
Did you feel any different?
Yeah. I started feeling a lot different. That's whenever I get to whenever I started grilling on the roof, I started feeling irritable. I started feeling, more mad at the world. Like I said, just real mean, put it that way. Well, that's why I say it got to where I was up there more and more and more. I was depriving my wife, my family I wasn't seeing, and my friends started seeing a change in me, just total change. And my wife, sure, I mean, she was a sweetheart there, and I don't even know why. I don't understand why I treated her like that, why I was such on edge. Well, it got to where one day it came around whenever we're going to get divorced. She was like, yep, it's over. And that's whenever I started really going downhill. I really lived up to the hospital this time. I really did. And one day I went up there. It was daytime. Went up there, and I was so upset, so depressed. I was bawling. You know, I'm going to lose my wife. I lost everything. You know, this place has done ruined my life, and I've ruined my life. I'm not going to blame it on the location, but I'm blaming it on me and how I opened myself up to whatever entity is in there that actually made this happen. And actually, right before that, a few months before that, this was a telltale sign that something bad was going on as well. It was raining real bad one day. We were on the third floor, room 504, and that was supposedly the most active location, right? I just had a gut feeling. I looked up at the ceiling. I had a gut feeling I need to go downstairs. We go downstairs. As soon as we walk to right below that, to label and delivery, we're right below that room. Actually got an EVP of a little girl laughing while we were up there. And right after that happened, ow! I mean, it was a loud crash. I'm thinking domino effect. We go running. We get outside the building. Was like, dude, what was that? Walk around to the side of the building. That room 504, that ceiling just caved in. We were just in that room.
Oh, wow.
And that little girl laughed. Okay?
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that right there should have been my sign. Well, I'm sitting here, you know, going back to the future, toward the end of it. I'm sitting here on the first floor. I got a baby blanket. I don't even know where the heck I got the baby blanket from. I had no idea.
Weird.
But it's covering my legs. I'm sitting on this concrete floor in the middle of this abandoned hospital that's just nasty inside, and I'm drinking some beer. I'm sitting there crying, bawling, upset, and next thing you know, everything got sort of quiet. It was like somebody put earmuffs on. And a lot of people well, not a lot of people, but I found out that some people call it the Wizard of Oz effect, which I really want to dig into the Wizard of Oz effect and look at it, because it supposedly ties a lot into the paranormal field. But that happened. I felt calm. I felt at ease. And it happened so quick. And then it wasn't like it was a thought. Put it this way, a thought came in my head. Hey, go up to the roof. You'll feel better up there. So I was like, all right. So I went up to the roof, and I'm up on the roof, and I just walking. I still felt at ease. I felt calm. I was like, man, thank goodness this feels great. Oh, I'm not upset anymore, you know.
Do you think that was spirit or universe connect with you?
Non-human. It was. I think it was Michael. I think it was the non-human entity. I really do, because I get closer and closer, and I get to the ledge, and I look down, and I see my truck, and thought comes into my head again. And this is not my thoughts. I mean, really, it's not like a vision or anything. It was just something, not a voice, but it was so strange. Came into my head, but yet it was like a voice, but like a thought. Weird. I look down, and next thing you know, I start feeling being upset again. And that just came in my head and said, go ahead, just end it, end the pain. So, yeah, I'm sitting here looking down, and this close to walking off that edge. Then I snap out of it. I mean, my guardian angel had to been there with me. Had to been. Because, I snapped out of it so quick, and I'm like, what the heck am I doing? Man, I hauled ass downstairs. I got my truck, and I left. And I did not go back. Months later, until whenever Zach and them came down to film. And I was like, well, maybe they can experience it. Maybe they can catch whatever the heck it is. And I went up there during the daytime, did the interview, and I left. Months later, actually, I'm sorry, a year later, they finally decided to tear the place down. Just right after the murder happened. they decided to tear the place down. And as soon as they had put that excavator teeth in the belly of that, I mean, it was like putting a knife in the belly of the beast, whatever, you know. And they pulled the first, you know, bricks out and stuff started falling down. I was like, good. So now that place is gone, and the entity, I'm sure, is still there, but there's nothing there. It's wide open, you know. So, but stuff like that can affect you, and that's why I tell people all the time: do not be a weekend warrior. Don't go out there and just jump into this location. You don't know what's there. What could happen to you? You know, find a paranormal team or a medium or whoever out there that's credible. Learn from them, and you can still go to these locations.
Wow, David, I have a very similar experience that I'll have to share some other time with an attachment.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of, and you're right, it starts with the little things, and then it tends to grow and grow, and before you know it, you're consumed to this, whatever's going on with the entity, and it's like that mocking thing. I don't know, like in scripture it says, not that I'm real big in scripture or anything, but it says that the enemy is out there to destroy, right?
Right.
How do you do that? You start picking at everyone in your life that's around you, pick them off, isolate you, put you in darkness. And then you said you started having thoughts that weren't yours. And I'm sure they're rolling over and over in your mind, right? Kind of uncontrollable. And you just get into the state that,
right. Yeah. Especially whenever I was at my most vulnerable state. Mm-hmm. Whenever I was down, that's whenever I was weak. And that's whenever all that really started happening. And like you said, it just started picking. It started low and then escalated and got more and got stronger. It got stronger. I got weaker. So, and it came down to it, and I did leave out there, was at one point how strong it started getting. Whenever I was at the we lived in like a antebellum home, and it was like the top was like a 2-bedroom little apartment area, like built in the 1850s, something like that. But it started coming there, which I know it was that non-human entity, because I was outside, my ex-wife was in the shower, and next thing you know, well, I'm outside. Next thing you know, I get a phone call. She was like, "Hey, did you just come in the bathroom?" I was like, No, I didn't. She was like, "David, yeah, you did." I was like, "No, I didn't." There was a human, somebody standing right there. She could see the silhouette, because it was like, it wasn't a clear shower curtain, but you could still see the silhouette on the other side. And it was like, "No, it wasn't me." And she got freaked out. She dried off. She was like, "Come here," you know, went in there, and she's like, "No, that was here." And there was one time I woke up, come from my daughter's room, jetted across right in front. It was a shadow figure in the kitchen. And the bathroom area, every now and then you'll see the lights flicker. It's like, dude, it was getting too close to home. Mm-hmm. I guess it wasn't strong enough to do that, so pull me there.
So what did you do? How did you recognize that you had a spirit attachment? Did it just dawn on you, hey, this isn't my thoughts, this is...
Oh, yeah, I knew it wasn't my thoughts. I knew it wasn't. I've never, ever in my whole life thought about suicide. I love my life too much, and I love everybody else too much. You know, my family and my kids. There's no way that I would come up with something like that. Never, you know. So whenever that first happened to me, and I got that calm feeling, this and that, I mean, I think it was just bait to lure me up there, and that's whenever it punched me back with the being upset again, to actually try to push me over that ledge. And I really do think that entity wanted me there, my spirit there as well, mm-hmm. to add to the addition of all the other spirits there. Yeah, new play toy.
Behind that.
I think it's a new play toy. Yeah, I mean, or maybe more energy, or to keep it company. I mean, I have no idea.
Or maybe it's just to destroy you for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Maybe you know about its presence, and now it's out to destroy you.
Yeah, could have been.
You know too much.
Yeah.
I've heard that theory before.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been, because there's a theory out there that which I call them watchers, but they're non-human entities. And basically what they do, they keep the other spirits at bay from communicating with us or getting out of line. You know, they're not really that powerful though. I mean, they're more like parasites. You know, and I think they get most of their energy and their kicks from scaring like kids and stuff like that. But I mean, they're just a black shadow person. You know, I've had people sit here and draw them up before. Actually, Bonnie and Clyde Ambush Museum has a couple, but which actually me and Ashley Storm, we witnessed it. You know, she's picked up on it before I even did. And we just happened to talk one day and we brought it up about the kill site. This is what I saw. And she was like, oh my God, this is what I saw. And she drew it out and she sent it to me. I was like, that's what I saw. And that's what we call watchers. They stay dormant and they stay hidden in dark locations. They stay away. They really don't mess with people that much. They just keep the other spirits at bay. But yet, that's whenever we're going to the Bonnie and Clyde with the same thing. Those could be watchers as well, but also I think they're a little bit more than that. I think they're a manifestation of people being out there with Bonnie and Clyde. Oh, this is where we killed, blah, blah, blah. And it's just of all the people out there, they have manifested these non-human entities that stand by the wood lines and, you know, and peek out and all that stuff and try to scare you. I mean, multiple people, we've been there, we've saw it, we've seen it behind the bushes. We did a paid event there and the people, the customers there, they saw it too, and they were getting so freaked out. I had a couple of psychic mediums there, and two of them, they wouldn't even go toward the wood line. I start going toward the wood line. I started feeling like within out, get the hell out. I was like, this is not good. I mean, I start tearing up. I was like, I feel like I'm going to get attacked. I'm not saying anything. Both of the mediums same time, David, get away from the wood line now. And I was like, okay, I'm gone. I totally trust you 100%. So it's so many theories out there, like you said, you know, but the watchers, yeah, they are different than the Bonnie and Clyde thing, but I think the watchers could be a manifestation too as well, because all the people go in there and investigate these places and they just take over and control it. They're like, hey, yeah, I'm better than you. I'm non-human. You're human. So I don't know.
I really believe 100% that you can create a haunting. Absolutely. When you look at like the Bell Witch Cave, for instance, it's a really good example of this.
Yep.
I spent the night at Bell Witch Cave and did a lot of research into it. And it turns out that cave's not even on the property of Bell's in the first place.
Really?
Yeah. The original property is like, I think 10 miles down the road. It's on private property, the actual Bell's farm and all that stuff. But yeah, we had activity go on, but I really think it's because everyone's going in there manifesting that energy. They're manifesting it themselves.
Yep, absolutely. My friend Tammy, we were supposed to do a documentary a while back, but that's before I ended up moving up here to New Hampshire. And she has some crazy stuff happen with her. I mean, every week there's something paranormal activity going on. This has been going on for years. I mean, stuff. I've been to her house. We were there doing an interview, and next thing you know, we hear bang, and I go in there and the chandelier swinging back and forth. Nobody's in there. All four of us are in here in this bedroom interviewing. So, but I think she is the haunted one. She has created her own haunting over the years, but something kicked it off. Something in the past came up to, I think it was an older lady or something like that, and came up to her and said something like, yeah, you're gifted this and that. And I forgot what it was, but mentioned some stuff with her, and bam, just went on from there. She's been haunted every location she goes. She lived in California, then she moved to Texas, and same thing's following her. So
I just saw on social media the guy on one of those TV shows. He's a famous medium, but he's always on social media talking about his house is haunted and he's got lights floating around and this and that. There's like constant drama with hauntings and stuff with his house and just different things. And you kind of wonder, how much of that energy are you drawing to yourself as an investigator? When you're going out looking for this stuff constantly, I mean, is that in itself like a whole different level of attachments? you're creating that?
Well, you're feeding the fire. I mean, basically, you're feeding the fire. You're giving it more and more and more energy. It's like a little kid tugging on your shirt tail. Mommy, 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 mommy. You turn around and acknowledge it. Okay, kid got what he wanted. He's going to keep on doing it to get acknowledged. You know, it's just basically that's the way I think. I mean, is that what you were asking?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, it's going to intensify and get more and more, man. That's why I tell people all the time. Look, you're hearing bumps, bangs, knocks, something going bump in the night in your house, don't acknowledge it. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it on the phone to anybody. Don't speak of it in your house. Do not acknowledge it and see if that helps first.
It's certainly not portrayed on social media live, through live feeds and stuff.
Yeah.
So when you were going through this whole experience where you had a personal attachment and it was destroying your life, how did you get out of that? How did you heal yourself from this?
I left the hospital. That was it. That was it. Yeah, it wasn't like the first one that I had to actually say, hey, look, you're not invited. I left the hospital. I wasn't back on the grounds anymore, and everything started getting better. That's all it was to it.
That's all it was? So you didn't have to do any personal healing or?
I didn't have to do anything. All I did was get away from that location. And I didn't let it affect me anymore. I was done. Other than that, I've never, I mean, like the first one was easy. The second one was, well, it was rough. But all I did was walk away. Didn't let it, bother me anymore, So I think that right there, the hospital was the key factor of it, and I don't think that Michael could have left that property. I really don't. I think he was just there. He was stuck, and whoever came in there, he would affect him. That's the only thing I'm thinking of. But I mean, yeah, it was that easy. But yet, I've done cleansings and all that stuff. I believe in it. I really haven't done it that much. I mean, it's mostly your mind. I mean, your willpower, your mind power to actually get rid of these attachments, get rid of what's going on. Because if you, like I said, if you sit here and if you're strong-minded and you can get rid of anything. You can do anything you want. You don't have to do the cleansing and all that stuff. But you got to take control. You can't let it take control of you.
And that's an excellent point. So many people out there, you see it every day through social media, they need help because they have a haunting. They don't know what to do. They're scared or this or that. And it all comes down to you create your own reality.
Yep. 100%.
So you can control what's going on.
Yep. 100%. Totally agree. So
a lot of it becomes like a personal thing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It does. Now, if you sit here, I mean, a lot of people, they're scared. They don't know what to do, this and that. But that's whenever somebody will come in and teach them. Like, say you come in and you explain to them, hey, you got to do this. Do it this way, and we'll go from there. Try this first, But also a lot of it, I've got phone calls, and they just wanted to be on TV. They just wanted to be either on a live feed, or they wanted something out of it. And it's like, man, no. This is real. I mean, this is not like on TV. This is real, dude. And that's whenever a lot of them, that's when they can also manifest it that way too. If they really want something like that to happen, and they're putting out there contacting these other teams and this and that and mediums and voodoo priest, or whatever Catholic Church. They can do it. They can manifest. They can actually. It could be a small haunting. And the next thing you know, it starts to get real big, just like their head. That's the way it happens. That's the way it happens. Next thing you know, you got a full blown haunting that probably is a non-human entity that could cause problems and cause damage. But hey, you did it to yourself. That's whenever we have to come in and do damage control.
No, there are spirits, though, that are human entities that really all they want is your attention to recognize them, to know their story, right?
Right, absolutely. Yeah, that's all they want to know. Hey, I'm here. Hey, and not even mess with you. I mean, that's a good haunting, like Black Swan Inn up in Tilton, New Hampshire. Same way. great spirits. Nut House, Vicksburg, Mississippi, great spirits. They just, hey, I'm here. Okay, I'm gone. You know, it's like, hey, you know, I'll say something to you, but I ain't coming back, you know, tomorrow. I'll say something. Leave me alone. You know, they don't scare you. They're good. They're good. Real nice spirits.
So what do you think the number one EVP that I usually get is help me? It's, well, there's two. I always get out, and then I get help me a lot.
Yeah.
So I'll try to go in and reconnect with the spirit and see if I can get them to realize that they can pass, you know, they can cross over or go somewhere else, you know, get them out of that mind state.
Right.
That mind state that we were talking about earlier, that we get into. You know, we do that. I think the spirit world does that too, to some extent, just to get stuck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely. There's places out there that are like Grand Central Station of activity of spirit coming in and just coming in for a little bit, stopping, and then going somewhere else. So we know that they can do that. But I think the spirit just, like you said, doesn't realize it can move on somewhere else and doesn't have to be stuck at that location.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, there's multiple places out there, multiple places. Like the Real Conjuring House is one of them. That place is insane with different kind of spirits. I mean, it's like Grand Central Station. You know.
You know, I don't really know the story of the Conjure House, believe it or not. I've never looked into that story.
Really? Well, you ought to. It's pretty interesting. It really is. Going back before Ed and Lorraine Warren, you know, was a part of it, and then whenever they were a part of it, it's definitely interesting. I saw some crap there that night whenever we investigated I have never seen before in my life. There was at one point where really got freaked out. I was outside smoking cigarettes back to back to back to back to back. I was so upset from what I saw, and it was done on a live feed. It didn't pick it up because I had the camera pointing straight ahead. Well, I can't get deep into it because it's I was with Stormy Daniels and Justin from Spooky Babes in this for Spooky Babes Paranormal Show, so I can't really get deep into detail with the whole because it's a part of the episodes. Put it this way, I got freaked out. I saw 3 full body apparitions that night in the same area. That happened. There was an incident where something got thrown out of a locked vehicle and it became unlocked and door wide open, put it that way. And that's all I'll really say. But it was crazy. That place is so crazy. So much stuff went on there. That's definitely a recommended place if you want to investigate, but you have to go with somebody that knows what they're doing because that place is so many spirits in and out. Just like you said. And, you know, I wouldn't know. I'm sure you would. I don't know how to help a spirit crossover. I really don't. I've never done any research on it. You know, like you said, I've done it. I'll sit here. Oh yeah, you can go somewhere else. You don't have to stay here. But that's all I know what to do. That's all. You got me interested, and now I'm trying to do some research on it. Or maybe, or either that, maybe you can coach me.
I kind of take it from a non-orthodox paranormal view, I guess. I kind of tie in religion a little bit with it.
Nice.
But I don't know. What do you think? What do you think the help me's are all about that we get?
Well, I mean, yeah, definitely. That's if you're sitting here asking them questions and they're saying help me because they're stuck, they don't want to be there, or it could be a residual haunt. It also could be a residual haunt. You know, something traumatizing happened there, and you just happened to catch that. It could have been coincident that you got it saying help me while you were asking a question. You know, it could be residual, but yet most of the time it is intelligent.
Were you telling me about the little girl in the fire?
No. You talking about the down in Vicksburg, the old River Chicks building? I think it was me. It was me because actually this right here was on Spirits Under Siege episode. Investigated it, and first thing whenever we went in there, Zach and Aaron were behind me, and I was walking down the steps to the basement. Next thing you know, before we went into the basement, pow! It's like somebody picked up a board, a 2x4, and slammed it on the ground and caught that on film. Nobody down there. The third floor is where we were investigating. And one of my friends, he was just sitting there talking. And next thing you know, we get a Class A EVP of a little girl spirit saying, "I'm still alive in here." And there was a fire on the third floor. So back in the day, so maybe that was her. That was her yelling out, "Hey, I'm still alive in here. Help me." You know, all the people outside looking up, you know, from the street and seeing engulfed in flames, but this little girl's in there and she's still alive. Could that be a residual? Or could it be, because we weren't asking any questions whenever he caught this. He was just sitting here talking to his daughter. And next thing you know, it says, "I'm still alive in here." Did I send you that EVP?
You haven't.
I'm going to send it.
I'll put it in this podcast.
Okay, yeah, I'll send it. Yeah, I'll send it to you. It's on SoundCloud.
It's such a good point that you make there, because I think a lot of times we misinterpret the evidence from these different paranormal investigations. Or as an investigator, I think sometimes we don't do our full diligence into actually investigating. I feel like a lot of times we're trying to make it too Hollywood or something. I don't know.
Well, that's the way it's turned out over the last 10 years. That's exactly the way it's turned out.
We're missing a lot, I think.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And man, I ain't gonna lie to you. I went on a dry spell of not even going over my EVPs. I just went in there and we did live feeds or film, this and that. And I didn't even go over the evidence whenever I got through. I was like, bad David, you got to start doing that. So started getting back into that, and, you know, going back to the true passion of the field of how I started. And that's what I think everybody else should do. I mean, if you lose sight of passion for this field, then you're in it for the wrong reason. Yeah. You need to get back to home base, root yourself, ground yourself, and start all over again.
I agree. So what is your advice for somebody, like a client, who's not an investigator, who believes that they have a spirit of attachment or some kind of oppression? What's your advice for them?
Do not acknowledge it. Repeat it over and over and over again till the day I die. Do not acknowledge what's going on until you find out what's going on. Do your research on paranormal teams in your area. See how long they've been in the field. See what they've been a part of. See what kind of events they hold. See if, like, say, if they hold fundraisers, this and that. Yes, that's probably the ones you want to get a hold to. You know, well, I mean, all of them out, they're good. It didn't matter. I mean, let me backtrack on that because that sounds real crappy. But that sounded real crappy. I didn't mean it like that. Totally did not mean it like that. Get out there, just do your research and find credible teams. That's what I'm saying. Whichever ones, this is what I mean. Whichever ones that you get a gut feeling that you would feel more comfortable with, reach out to them. Give them a shot. Let them come in. See what the outtake is. If you enjoy their investigation style, choose that team and let that team try to figure out exactly what's going on in your house. And then they could take the next steps and go from there. And like I said, if you don't like their style, reach out to another one, bring another one in, you know, but just don't go through them. Don't burn through them. It's best if you find that one, keep them, because that's the one that's going to
work with, right? Exactly.
And if they have other outlets, would be great. So they can bring in a medium or something like that, you know, or empath. If they have other stuff, even religion-wise, like we were talking about, I brought up voodoo and hoodoo earlier. I work with all kinds of religions. Let's see, Wiccan, you know, Catholic, you know, Christian, hoodoo, voodoo, all of it. and because you never know what you're going to walk into. You never know what kind of haunting is there that would actually get rid of whatever's there, But anyway,
you never know what the client believes in either. A lot of times it's based on what they believe in. That will work.
Yep, 100%. Absolutely. And you definitely want to relate to that. That's the first thing you need to do is relate to whatever religion they are, So, but yeah, that would be my advice, man. Just reach out to a credible team.
What's your advice for new investigators that are just now getting into this field? Same
thing. Do not be a weekend warrior. You go out there, man, there's so many locations that you can get hurt at. There's so much bad stuff that can happen, man, out there. And if you don't have people that know what they're doing or are seasoned or have some sort of experience, well, I wouldn't say some sort, but that are seasoned, I would definitely reach out to them. Ask to be a part of their team. If they don't have any openings, go to another team if you feel comfortable with. But don't go out there and just do it. I mean, I've done it. We've all done it. All the old schools definitely done it. That's how we started. And that was probably, I don't know, to me, the way I started, probably the dumbest thing I've ever done, because I should have went out there and, with somebody that knew what they were doing. But especially nowadays, whenever the stuff has impacted me over the years, and I actually knew what I was doing to a certain extent, and I still got attacked. So, yeah, that's why I definitely do that. And there's paranormal teams all over, even if they're an hour away, 30 minutes away, 2 hours away. There's so many great teams out there that hold events, do live feed investigations at these haunted locations, and you can go to, I mean, heck, you just pay for your room or whatever and may throw them a few bones to help out with the rental of it. Hey, do it. It's worth it. Totally worth it. And plus you're there and you're actually in a safe zone. You're not wide open running into the fire. At least you'll have a bubble around you.
Can you tell the audience what actually goes on at these paranormal events? Because I think there's some confusion. I read it a lot. Well, why would I go to that? What's the point of that on social media? A lot of people don't really know what it is. They think that you're just meeting a star or whatever, but there's more to it than that, right?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Over the years, I've done a lot of paid investigations. The whole thing is, the way I do it, and a lot of them are out there do it as well. All right, basically, you're coming in, you're able to be a ghost hunter for the night, which I hate that word, but people can relate to it. All right, be a paranormal investigator for the night. You get to come in with seasoned investigators, get the whole equipment, and go through the whole run. It's not like being on TV, because it gets quiet a lot. It really does. It's not like stuff happens all the time, But that's what it entails. You come in, you get to hold the equipment, hands-on training, hands-on experience at these beautiful haunted locations, and for real cheap price. I mean, basically the way I do it, I charge real cheap. All it's doing is paying for the location. I don't make any profit off of it, none whatsoever. And if I go in the red, I go in the red. If I go in the black, I go in the black. It doesn't matter to me. It's all about the opportunity for the community to come in and investigate and have a great time.
Well, David, thank you so much for talking to me. Do you want to mention upcoming projects that you have coming
up? Let's see. Yeah, sure. I'll knock it out real quick. You can find me on Facebook, David Childers, Childers. You can also find me on It's Haunted Network. Chris Sanders and I have a paranormal network with we have a lot of podcasts on there, live podcasts from some of my friends over in the UK, Ireland. They have their own show over there. US has their own show over there. We got a lot of cool stuff going on It's Haunted Network. That's where we do our live feeds at too, whenever we investigate these locations. We are investigating S.K. Pierce Haunted Mansion in Mass. We're investigating that next weekend with Bentley Paranormal and me and Chris Sanders and Jason Nello. Also Wendy Lizette. Oh, I'm going to butcher her name. Wendy's going to get so mad. But we're investigating that. Then in April 23rd, we're investigating with April Fazette from Haunted Housewife in New Jersey. She was on the Holtrip Files. We also got Miss Katie and Mandy. It's going to be down from Totally Weird and Twisted podcast, which actually has moved over to our network as well. We got them coming down. It's Chris will be there too, so we're going to do a live feed investigation on its haunted network.
That's really cool. David, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the invite again. I had a blast.